वेयर आर यू गोइंग? यार ये मुझे छोड़ के कहाँ जा रही है? शी इज द ओनली वन आई न्यू इन दिस पार्टी. Everyone's looking at me like I am here alone. Okay, let me call my friend. यार ये फोन क्यों नहीं उठा रही? Oh God. Okay, I'm just going to pretend to be on the phone. Hey, yeah, I'm at this really cool party. Yeah. My friend ditched me, but I'm fine now.
Hey everyone, I'm Smita.
Hi everyone, I'm Srishti. Welcome to episode 2 of Somewhere in the Middle.
So, today we want to discuss this core belief that all of us have that we're not enough or we're not good enough, and see where it comes from, and also see the different aspects of our life that it sort of manifests itself in. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're just going to explore that topic today with you. And one of the things that comes to mind is something that occupies a lot of the part of our day. And whether or not we like it, it's like a necessary thing in our lives. So, any guesses?
Social media.
Social media.
Okay. I'm going through my day quite happy, quite peaceful. And I open my phone and I check Instagram and I'm checking it for a few minutes to few hours. And then we notice that, then very soon we notice that if I'm feeling pretty bad, not so good.
I think it happened with me today. I had to do a lot of tasks that I'd planned, and somehow I started watching some video on Instagram, and then it kept going on and on. And I feel like I worked on shifting my accounts, following only those people whose content I resonate with and which add something to my life. But now even that's like a black hole. One of the things that comes up is when I see people doing things that I would have liked to do, right? In that moment, maybe there's a little bit of like, oh, kash, मैं भी ये कर रही होती. But then I try to shift that feeling to, okay, I'm happy for them, and it's really great that someone's doing this in the world. But somewhere that pang of wantingness is still there. It takes me away from that happy state that you were talking about, right? If
Yeah.
I'm at peace in the day.
And it brings up that feeling of not good enough again.
Yeah,
Yeah. How
yeah.
have you
Like,
navigated that? Anything that's helped so far?
um, yeah, so one thing which I described was really pausing in that moment and seeing what is the feeling there. Is it wantingness that, oh, I wanted to do this? Is it jealousy? Is it, oh, I had the same idea and, this is out in the world and I couldn't do anything about it? And just acknowledging that feeling. And secondly, wishing well for that person that, okay,
Mm.
this is something good that's happening. And what has helped me is that, like, when I see my own patterns of social media, so I don't post a lot, but when I post, it's something that I feel really good about or something interesting that I want to share. So those are like the highlights of my day, of my week, month, whatever. And I think similarly, a majority of people follow similar pattern, right? So then just recognizing that, hey, okay, this is the highlight of someone's life, and there's so much. It's like not even the tip of the iceberg, right? Like the
Yeah.
iceberg of their lives are so huge, and so much is going on, and I don't know anything about it. So yeah, not judging my life and what I'm doing basis that snippet, that snapshot of happiness or joy that I'm seeing. Recently, we had Mental Health Day in October, and one of the things or statistics is that people who spend 2 hours or more on social media tend to have a higher chance for anxiety, depression, low self-esteem, and all of that. So we feel that we have to really be conscious when using this. How has it been for you, Smita?
Yeah. So I can kind of relate to what everything you said actually. So making sure I have that perspective to say, yeah, this is not all of anyone's life. And similarly, and so just an ease that comes with that, saying, okay, everyone's life is so much more complex than what we see on social media. And in terms of like looking at that, I want to do that. Like that's another, of course, that's a journey I think we go on. Firstly, you're sort of thinking about all the different vacations and everything and thinking, oh my God, I wish I had that or this. And coming to a point of like, yeah, everyone has their share of good and challenges, of course, like victories and challenges in that sense. And then sort of realize, and then moving to things that people are doing that we want to do. And I think there are two ways this comparison, or like a sense of whenever there was a sense of comparison versus like you spoke about that feeling of joy of like Mudita we talk about, like, hey, great that this person's doing so well. When you move away from that and get into this comparison space of like, oh, I wish I could do that. And I feel like, yeah, like you said, being aware and noticing that maybe that's somewhere where you can take an action, go and do that, right? Go and start somewhere. And then of course I used to then be bogged down by like, oh, but I'm not good enough, i'm not that great, I don't know enough. um yeah, like I think what helped me beat that is this concept of the local universe, like they say, like maybe this person's the knows a lot and is able to share it, and it's touching the people that they know. And then you don't need to necessarily get to a million or a billion people. You can start with those, and like we're doing through this as well, like we don't know how many people are going to watch this, but maybe our friends will watch it, maybe the community we're part of, they'll watch it, and then that's good enough. Like if it sort of puts a smile on their face and sort of if they're able to resonate, and I don't know if some of what has helped us helps them, that's great. So then yeah, that sort of took off that whole burden of like, oh, am I good enough, and moving away from that comparison to just doing what we like. Yeah.
When we're like creating also, we tend to sort of say that, okay, until I'm at this level, until I'm this good enough, I don't want to do anything. But yeah, it starts with just one single step. And whatever we're being drawn towards on social media, that, oh wow, this is so amazing, is there a part of us that wants to do that? If yes, then go ahead and take that one step, one painting or just one song, whatever it is. And yeah, and another like practical tip is also putting timers for app usage. So when I exceed X minutes or X hours on a certain app, then it shows it to me. So then it's a conscious choice. Like I know I will dismiss the alarm sometimes, but then I'm subconsciously aware that, okay, your quota for the day is done. So that helps. Do
Right.
let us know if something has helped you in the comments. We'd
Yeah.
love to learn and also try to implement.
Definitely. I don't think we are through this. I still find myself sort of, staying a lot on social media and then realizing, oh my God, it's been a while. And
Yeah.
also that feeling of comparison naturally keeps stemming from time to time. And it's only that we found these ways and means to sort of put a check on those, I guess. Yeah. So the other topic where this feeling of not good enough manifests itself is appearances, right? So be it physical appearance or be it the spaces we live in and so on, we want to be seen as good looking, or like expect our homes to be like, yeah, thought of as like good or beautiful and so on. We somehow struggle with that too in different ways.
This is something that plays out in life right from a very early age, by our families, by social media. Like one of the talking points always for relatives is moti ho gayi hai, patli ho gayi hai, kha
Oh my
nahi rahi
God.
hai.
Yeah.
Like you've
I
got a tan.
Oh wow, that's a big one, right? Especially in India, I've seen that whenever you go to like a salon or wherever, they'll make sure that they tell you how you're tanned and you have to get something done to get rid of your tan. And I realize this is not just for people who are relatively have a darker complexion; it's for everybody, because everybody thinks that their complexion is not good enough, and so they tap
Yeah,
into that almost. I think there are
yeah, and
industries revolving around this feeling of not good enough
exactly.
or like don't look good enough.
like brightening creams to serums to
Yeah.
night creams and day creams and anti-wrinkles and age, I don't know, age, like it's just crazy. And the amount of brands that have come in, the number of products that have come in, like from I think one step routine. I think earlier bachpan mein we used to have some Nivea moisturizer or something, and that would be go on my hand and
I
body and everything.
know.
And now it's like, I don't even know what's happening. It's like 10 products that you must have for a flawless skin.
It's a struggle to like not get sucked in into this, especially because everyone's telling you firstly that, oh my god, you don't, you, if you look good then you have to keep doing something to look good, and or
Hmm.
maybe it's like, oh, you don't look good enough, so do this and then you look good, right? So they tap into that again, that feeling of I'm not good enough, or I
Yeah.
need to do something and that's when I'll be good, right? Have you seen any ways in which like you've been able to navigate this at all?
Yeah. So I think one thing that I've recognized is a lot of things around us are conditioned to make us feel like the way I am is not good enough. So, while someone might really like the texture of my skin or my hair, but I might be feeling like, oh, but whatever, my hair looks so unruly and etc. So, one of the things that I've noticed is during calls, right? Like I attend a lot of online programs, workshops, and so initially I always used to have the camera off. Okay, because I was like, I would be at home and in very messy attire, like maybe night clothes or something, and I wouldn't feel comfortable. And like others were like well dressed and well settled in their chairs. So that was the first stage. The next stage was like, but I was like, oh, but there's this person who's speaking, and all of us are on, dark mode, not our cameras on. And I was like, no, but I want to be present. So then I started coming on camera, but I would like and just be presentable and then come on. So that was step two. Then I think I became comfortable with it a little. And then the third step was like, I didn't really care. Like, if I had to say something, then I would just turn on my camera and say it in whatever shape and form I was. And the next stage was not feeling that compulsion of having the camera on or off. Like, that shifted, that now I didn't feel like, oh, I need to be have the camera on or I need to have the camera off. But whenever I felt like having it on, I would have it on. And when I didn't, if I had to lie down and listen to it or something, then I would be very comfortable in having it off. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, I think that's been my journey.
I feel like the pandemic has had a big role in us accepting ourselves the way we are in a big way because, like you said, for me too, like, especially even with work situations, there would be these calls. And since we were so used to being dressed a certain way when we went to work, so there was this idea that, okay, even from home, we're going to look the same as we work. And then I think slowly it sort of, everyone sort of dropped that
Hmm.
to eventually being very comfortable. I mean, of course, there's an element of you want to be presentable, like you said, if someone's, if you're in a, you want to be like, you value the other person who's
Hmm.
taking that call, so
Hmm.
you're at least appearing and sort of being present in a certain way.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's not that so much of like that space of where we come. Only when I'm
Well,
dressed to this extent will I be able to
hmm.
turn on the camera.
Hmm.
I think that's
Yeah.
again a degree of acceptance that we have, and of course depends on what situations and everything. But even I've
Hmm.
like come to that space of it's gotten more and more comfortable to be who I am.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it also starts with accepting myself as I am and loving myself when I'm in a shabby state, loving myself when I'm in a dressed up state, and loving myself when I have a big pimple on my
Yeah.
on my face, or whatever, right? It comes. So until I accept myself, only like if I'm not accepting myself, only then I'm thinking कि oh दूसरे को ऐसा लग रहा है. If I
Yeah.
am comfortable, then it won't bother me that, oh, this one thinks XYZ.
And it's such
Yeah.
a play of perception, right? Like where you are thinking like, oh my God, I have this pimple on my face, and it's like everyone's attention must be on it. And it's only you,
Mm.
it's only ourselves because we haven't accepted ki, ha, there is a pimple and there is a pimple, it's okay.
Mm.
Or even something like yeah, me wearing glasses, it's been such a journey of accepting that I look okay in glasses, like, or it's okay to wear glasses and it's not such a big deal. Um, yeah, but I
Yeah.
cannot say that I've eliminated that feeling completely, but there's so much more ease with it. It's a journey, I think. And
Yeah.
what has helped? Yeah, just this realizing that nobody is thinking about you and your looks and everything as much as you. Like, you're just
Yeah.
being you, who has to come into acceptance of that, like you said.
Yeah. That's a big one because we think so much about what the other person's thinking, and other people don't have time. Like, I am not so important in the world that people around me are thinking about me, or what you're doing, how you're looking, etc. Like, honestly, people have a lot to do in their lives.
Yeah.
So,
And even I realize this too, that even if somebody is, I know we come across people who are very
hmm,
observant of like how you
yeah,
look in certain things, and they can make comments like, and then to also realize that that's about them, it's not about you, because they are in a certain space where maybe they are feeling
hmm,
uncomfortable with certain things, or they have
hmm,
they have an idea of this means
hmm,
right, and that is wrong. The way to look at it is, okay, if you're dressed a certain way and so on and so forth is the right way to do things.
hmm,
Whereas, yeah, but if you've accepted yourself and you realize, then it's okay. Like, what they are saying is about them and it's not about you, which
yeah.
also gives you a sense of freedom in that sense. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big flip. And a lot of times, people come from a good place, of course, like
Yeah.
that, hey, whatever, if it's say about someone's weight, right? So they observe ki, acha, looks like you're gaining weight or you're becoming unhealthy, and they want you to go back to exercise or be healthy, or even about, say, looks or something that, don't go out in the sun so much, your skin will get damaged, and whatever, all of those things. So it might be coming from that place, and it's not just, I feel like, a comment or
Of course.
ki, acha. So it's that, but then then we have to choose, right? Like, one can't be in the house taking care of all your the house cleanliness, looks, etc. There are things that one wants to do.
Of
So
course.
yeah, and one thing, like, in terms of what has helped, right? So there's this book by Louise Hay called Mirror Work, and it's a 21-day step by step sort of exercise, and I did like a few days of it in the beginning. So it is about looking at yourself in the mirror first. So a lot of times people would have, like, at least I was not super comfortable. I was decent. I was fine, like maybe 80%, 70% acceptance. But again, there was this 20-30% of not being fine with myself in the mirror, and a lot of thoughts or deficiencies. Oh, what am I not good at, right? Those used to come, that, hey, yesterday you did this, today you wasted your time, you were supposed to do this, and all of those, not just physically but emotionally, mentally, all of those things used to come. And as I kept going back to the mirror, and there's like one statement that you say, that I want to love you, and I want to get to know you, I want to love you, I want to try and love you. And that really shifted things for me. So yeah, I've not done the course completely, but I do hope to do it. Maybe
Yeah.
we can do it together.
Yeah. I think even just the idea of self-acceptance triggers that process of like dropping all of this
Hmm.
baggage that we have
Hmm.
around not good enough. Like, once you realize it's just you who has to accept that you are okay the way you are, then it's easier, right? At least it starts the process,
Yeah.
because till then you're
Yeah.
looking out for that approval.
Validation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
So cool.
Another big place where this I'm not good enough shows up
Hmm.
is in relationships.
That's a pretty big one because, um, like, we are social creatures, right? And whether it's a relationship with our parents, spouses, romantic relationships, family, friends, this does manifest in many, many different forms. Thinking about, where does this, um, why do I feel like I'm not good enough in certain contexts? Um, so one of the things that's coming is that, so my brain like automatically judges. Okay,
Mm.
like how much ever I say that I'm a non-judgmental person and I'm a very open person, but the truth is that subconsciously there's some judgment that often comes, like whenever I'm meeting somebody, talking to somebody, and either I see them as say knowing more than me
Huh.
or smart being smarter than me or whatever any of those adjectives we can take xx or than me, or I feel like oh I'm better than them at something or whatever, right? So there's like a hierarchy that kind of gets formed. Someone's better than me or I am better than somebody. And for both of these types, the kind of behavior I exhibit becomes very different, or it used to be very different. Like I would be very conscious about what I'm saying, how the topics that I'm discussing, or my views on certain things when I'm with someone who I feel like is better than me. Because I think there's this thing of oh I need something from them. I don't know what that is. Maybe validation. Maybe I want their company, or I don't know. Yeah, maybe I want their presence, company, whatever. Then for the other one where I feel like oh I'm better, there I'll sort of maybe be dismissive a little bit कि अच्छा हाँ ये तो है ठीक है okay. So I remember this used to happen quite significantly earlier, and then I recognized it कि भाई ये क्या हो रहा है मतलब I'm this supposed to be this non-judgmental person and very kind and generous and open, and so the reality did not fit in with my self-image, right? It did not fit in with my values, and something needed to change there. And wo, somewhere we need that also to operate in the world, not like I'm better or I'm worse, but ki, oh, this person is good for this kind of thing, or just being resourceful, getting things done, even in a work environment, etc. That sort of comes. Yeah, what's helped is looking at anybody I meet from a point of neutrality. Yeah, okay, today I'm meeting this person, and I remember this nice concept. Yeah, like we do in our calls, right? The highest in me
Yeah.
bows to the highest in you. And when meeting somebody, it's like meeting of two Buddhas, that, okay, you are valuable to each other and you have something to give each other just because we are meeting or we are interacting, engaging in the world in some form. There is something of value for each, both. It's not like just that person is valuable in placing everybody on a pedestal, because then you place yourself down.
Of course.
No, it's like when I come from that place of neutrality and curiosity, कि अच्छा, what can this bring? So even if my mind is chattering with that judgment, but just coming from that space of neutrality, that is, I think, does help me
Yeah.
navigate this.
And I think, like you said, you can't just avoid it. There is a space for discernment, like you said, that, yeah, like, there is this person who I feel is an expert, and then you're going to interact with that person like that. But not bring that sense of like, don't decide prior, like, about, especially when it's not such a conversation. At least bring your whole presence and whole self to the conversation, and not already bucket people, and try not to at least let that influence this conversation, even if you do have those ideas, right? And sometimes I've seen that it's I may assume certain things about people, but in that particular conversation, like you said, a Buddha to Buddha, I feel like I get value from every interaction with everybody if I sort of drop those things, the judgments and the ideas that I have, and the buckets that we put people into. And
And it's about being open to that value that we can get, right? Versus blocking it out with our heads. And of course, it's a journey. Like I think for both of us, it's not like we've aced it and we're totally at the point of zero neutrality with everyone. Interesting to see how we link our self-worth with how someone treats us, or how we feel treated by somebody, and whether or not we're getting validation from them, whether or not we're getting approval from them. Especially in the beginning of any relationship, when you meet somebody, this sort of shows up. Or even when, say, you're looking forward to something, right? Like maybe working with somebody on something or meeting them again. And I think Smita and I both are very enthusiastic, and we'll be like, "Oh wow, this I had so much fun with this person, and this was so amazing." And he messaging them or something, कि अच्छा ये मैंने देखा, which you might like, etc., etc. And we just so both of our chats are generally like 10, 15 messages all at once.
Yeah.
But often, um, some like the other person might not respond,
Yeah.
right? And I think from teenage years to like when we're much older, this does play out that, oh, why did this person respond? I texted them 2 days back or 5 days back, 10 days back, and I haven't received a response. And that starts this questioning of myself. Did I say something wrong? Or when we met, did they not like me? Not, was the conversation not interesting enough? And putting that on myself.
Yeah, it's very interesting how such a simple thing can trigger your questioning of your sense of self-worth, right? Like
Mm,
our way of being versus another person's way of being. And like we've discussed, Srishti, I think there might be a million reasons why somebody didn't respond, and maybe your way of being is to be so enthusiastic.
mm,
Maybe it's not the other person's way. Maybe they take time to process it, and maybe they don't feel like saying much, or maybe they're truly not into this. um you never know, but
mm,
either way, it shouldn't impact, or why does it impact how we feel about ourselves, right? Why do we quickly go towards, oh,
mm,
I'm not okay, I shouldn't have
mm,
done this, or maybe I said something wrong, like we quickly go into that judgment,
mm.
um which I think is so unhelpful. But then it's, I don't know, I don't think both of us have at least figured out a way out
Yeah,
of
it's
this.
very, very deeply conditioned, I think, how others perceive us,
Yeah.
and that defining our self-worth.
And like you said, especially where this person matters to us, like where we feel like
Mm,
we need this person's approval, we want
mm,
them to like us almost.
yeah.
Yeah, that's where it sort of plays so much. Like, and there's this movie example that Srishti and I were talking about recently, where if you've seen this movie Runaway Bride, where there's Julia Roberts and she has all these different relationships, and depending on who she's with and how they like their eggs, she also decides, she sort of takes that on, she also likes her eggs that way. And until somebody comes and questions, like, okay, what is that you actually want,
Mm,
like, right?
mm,
And it's such a good example of how we also do this shape shifting, where we
mm,
knowingly or unknowingly, where if we like somebody and we want them to like us, and we imagine, like you said, we have to be a certain way for them to like us, and we sort of start to shift that. Like even this enthusiasm thing that you spoke about, like if we keep getting messages, like if we sort of interpret this message of non-responsiveness as, I don't like your over enthusiasm, maybe we'll tone it down, right? Maybe we'll be like, no, I can't be this enthusiastic about things.
mm.
Which is, I feel like, so useless, firstly because I don't think anybody can like you if they really don't like you. And
Yeah.
you can you might as well like yourself and be yourself, right? Like it's so much fun to be
Mm,
yourself. Like if I see you, Srishti, then I'll be like, okay, great, even you're equally enthusiastic about this. And that's
mm,
where you
mm.
actually give yourself a chance to meet the kind of people who are meant for you.
Yeah. And exactly what you're saying, right? Like, so I'm an enthusiastic person and I want to talk to you and get to know you, etc. Right? And I've met a lot of whole different sort of gamut of people, and many are not. They're like, "Kya chal raha hai?" But yeah, when I met Smita, I think it really clicked for both of us, right? And that is why this show is also happening. So yeah, when it has to work out, it does work out, and both of us respect that and value that, and maybe
Yeah.
someone else didn't, and that dropped, that relationship dropped,
Yeah.
that project dropped, and that's okay. So one thing that Smita, you were mentioning the other day was authentic relating concepts, right? Bringing that into this, that hey, okay, when someone's not responding, then 100 thoughts are going in my head, right? Why that person? And generally, we have a tendency to assume the worst. But just checking in with them, right? Like, hey, I was feeling this way, that we had a good conversation, but I didn't hear back from you, and I'm feeling like um, you don't want to talk anymore. Is that true? So
Yeah.
checking if that's the truth, right? And then it's up to that person whether they can be honest about their feelings or not. And
Yeah.
sometimes it could just be that they were busy and didn't get time, or sometimes it could be like, oh, they don't want to take that project or whatever ahead, but they're also like, oh, ab kaise bolu, maine to commit kiya tha. And
Mm.
so now it's their issue, right, which you are cursing yourself for.
Yeah.
So
No, this
just
this
taking that.
particular thing has been like life changing for me in all different relationships, just to reveal. And of course you need to come from a space of not blaming like immediately,
Mm,
and just say this is my experience and this is how I feel right now, and to check is that true, right? Instead of just living with that and sitting with those nasty thoughts in your head, just put it out there. And
mm,
once you have the courage to be vulnerable, of course you're being vulnerable to say, I feel this. Of course, you have to own that.
mm,
And
mm,
then you sort of, yeah, you get, at least you're at ease after that. You drop it.
mm.
All
Yeah,
those thoughts go away.
yeah. And a lot of times, like you said, I think courage is a big factor here, because saying to somebody that I was waiting for your message, or I expected, I was really looking forward, that somewhere we've been conditioned to think that that puts us at a lower position
Yeah.
than them, and we are giving them the power. So this whole this dynamic and this play ki, oh, you shouldn't respond immediately and let them wait, otherwise you'll seem too eager and too enthusiastic. I'm just like, I don't get it. I don't want to play this game. Like, seriously, when that talk comes, I'm like, मुझे तो दूर रखो इससे.
This power play thing is so interesting. And you realize that the power is, you don't give away your power when you actually reveal, you take it back. Because,
Yeah.
and you're giving away your power when you're sitting with those nasty feelings of, where you're feeling not good enough, or thinking the other person doesn't like you and all of those things. That's when you're giving away your power. Instead, you sort of, you say what it is, you say what you feel, and you sort of, reveal your experience and own it, right? And you own the fact that,
Mm,
yeah, this is what it is, this is what is true for me. And then you're taking back your power. And like
mm,
you said, you don't need to get into any of these strange mental games that people play. Yeah, but I feel like it all comes from there, right? Like, I want to feel good about myself and I want to make you feel a certain way. And that's when all
mm,
these games start. If you're just authentic and real and you like yourself, you accept yourself, you're not going to want to do any of this. You're just going
mm.
to clear and open.
Yeah, and like you were just touching on that point earlier, that when I do that, I invite into my life people who value that, people who respect that. And it just, as we're speaking also, it's feeling so easy, right? Like that I don't have to be a certain way, because that's always like I'm grasping onto some state which I'm not in. So just leaving that, dropping that, and accepting that, yeah, I'm at this stage. And that invites all of these beautiful people, like at least for both of us,
Yeah.
it's worked that way, that uh, as we've stepped into our authenticity more and more and more, we've really found people and experiences come into our lives which where there's more and more and more space to be our authentic selves.
Yeah. It's such a beautiful, like they say, vicious circle. It's like a positive, good circle only.
Yeah.
It sets that off into motion, where even you
Mm.
take that one baby step towards accepting yourself and being true to who you are. And it sets off a motion of like
Mm.
all of nice events and synchronicities where you meet similar kind of people and so on. Yeah. It's amazing.
It's so amazing to see in how many areas of life, I think almost all areas, that this feeling of I'm not good enough manifests, and along with the need for approval and validation from somebody else, right? Um, we would love to hear on, from you on how this comes across in play in your lives, and if you found any techniques or something that you've tried that has really worked for you or hasn't worked. We love to hear that from you, as we're also learning.
uh, Even as we're sort of moving along, I think making those baby steps towards accepting and towards just feeling good the way we are. I feel like it brings a very important question of why is this even the case? Why do we not feel good enough? Why don't we feel like we are okay in the first place? Where does this even stem from?
Hmm.
So yeah, so I think Srishti and I would love to explore this, or the things we've discovered in with this question. We would love to share that. So yeah, tune in to the next episode as we explore this question further. Thank you so
Yep.
much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Have a lovely day.